Welcome to another exciting episode of the Late Night Hour, broadcasting from our secret, undisclosed, underground bunker location, the voice of freedom, and a warm welcome to you. Here on the Late Night Hour, we explore the topics not found on television.
You're listening to the Late Night Hour.
Yes, indeed. It's another late night on the Late Night Hour. Thank you for joining us. If you were here last night looking for us, we were broadcasting, but after about 20 minutes, something cut our stream. Very interesting. The topics we were talking about, we've gone back to analyze what could it be that suddenly resulted in technical difficulties. But it doesn't matter because tonight we're going to repeat the same exact subjects again. And we are multicasting across many different social media platforms. And so, luckily, tonight we will continue to provide our viewpoints, opinions, and theories until they can pull the plug on the entire internet to silence alternative viewpoints. And it's a nice mellow Wednesday evening. Nothing is going to get me upset tonight. At least that's what I tell myself each and every night, because it's difficult these days to look at the news and not get very upset over all the garbage that's going on around the world and in Washington, D.C., and in many cities and states around us. There seems to be all types of craziness just taking place all around us, everywhere we look. Something weird is going on. I can see that we're having a little bit of a technical difficulty again, so we'll be right back in 1 minute.
Into a midnight haze. She will follow you. She will follow you. She will follow you. She will follow along to you. You're listening to The Late Night Hour with Alex Abrams.
I said it was a nice, mellow Wednesday, and already some excitement in the studio. I think we have things under control, and we can get back on topic. And so, here on the Late Night Hour, if you're new to our show, give me a call at 515-602-9663. I would love to hear from you and hear your viewpoints on what is going on in the world today. Oftentimes, things are not as they appear. The mainstream media, part of the military-industrial media complex, is creating the story for you, the fairy tale, Alice in Wonderland, The Wizard of Oz. These are all for you, the little person, the masses. The stories are for you. If they want you upset, you'll get upset. If they want you happy, you'll get happy. All you have to do is watch the mainstream media. Sit back, enjoy their fairy tales and commercials, and let the world continue. Well, you are just mentally checked out. Oh, you're watching, of course, but they're zapping you with all kinds of beta and gamma rays and hypnotizing you with buried symbology and MK Ultra tricks. That's what they do. You just don't know it. But perhaps something has brought you to our show. We're a little unique because you might actually learn something on this show, which sooner or later will probably be illegal to teach because it's all fake news. So they claim anything that doesn't agree with the mainstream narrative, if it's not invented by the military-industrial complex, it's conspiracy theory, and you're a conspiracy theorist because you're trying to use your own logic and common sense, and that's not taught today, especially in the public education system. You are being indoctrinated to be the mindless slave that you need to be the best you can be. But Americans do not have to put up with this system. Americans have a great deal of ingenuity and creative abilities. And other citizens from other countries, the ones that can, are very active. And we all need to be active to fight this system. The system is very obvious. If you listen to our show regularly, I can't give you too much information at once. You'll just totally freak out and have a meltdown. So, I give you little bits and pieces. And it's not going to make any sense to you until you listen to our show for a while. And if it's not our show, perhaps you'll find another one out there on the Internet. The Internet that was created to spy on you is actually being turned against the elite masters. If you want to call them billionaires, that's fine. I tend to think there's actually some trillionaires in the world, but of course, their names are not on the Forbes richest people in the world. Their names are hidden, well hidden, and they change their names regularly. They change their social security numbers. These at the top are the hidden masters because they don't follow the system. The system has been built for everyone else, the little people. Even presidents, senators, Congress people are low-level agents. They're not at the top of the pyramid. And mostly they are after a paycheck, a big paycheck relative to the rest of us, but that's pretty much what they're trying to accomplish. Get their money, get their paycheck, go build their underground bunker somewhere else. And that's why we broadcast from our secret underground bunker, so they can't pull the plug on our show. Because if they could, I'm sure they would pull the plug on this show. But that's just because I generally am pretty mellow, but sometimes the world is just too disgusting, and then I have a meltdown and a rant. And so then I have to step back. I have to take it easy, relax. Alex, don't get wound up. Don't let the system get you depressed, oppressed, suppressed, and downright disgusted. Fighting the system day in, day out gets to be wearing on a person. So sometimes you've got to chill. You got to go bowling or play darts or take a sip of your favorite beverage, which we do here on the Late Night Hour, which I'm going to do right now. My favorite beverage. I'll be right back here. Okay, now I'm wound up after that one sip. And so, what really irritates me lately is these politicians like John McCain who aren't born in the United States. What, you say? No, John McCain was born on a boat. He was born in international waters, and that explains why he was a big traitor to this country. He was there to support every war, like 12 different wars. John McCain took the lead. He was a hero, all right, sending our young men and women out to die. Oh, he was a real hero. But then just the other day when McCain left us, I said I wouldn't say anything about McCain. So I've got to, cut down, move away from this McCain story. But, he's so nice and he's the greatest thing since Swiss cheese. And then we find out he didn't even invite his vice president candidate to his funeral. He didn't invite Palin and told her to stay away from the funeral. Oh, he's a real nice guy, all right. And his family's a real nice family. The McCain family. Okay. Let's move on. Okay, so we have all these politicians, besides Obama and many others, not born in the U.S. of A. I believe they've said there's many senators and congressmen who are not even born in the United States of America, passing laws to enslave the rest of us. So this has to be fixed. And I'm all about fixing the system. So let's contact those elected representatives and let's pass a law that senators and congressmen have to be born in the United States. Oh, we only have that law for the president. That law is not for Congress or the Senate. So there's a law right there. And they can pass that one right after they pass term limits. We need term limits so that we can get these corrupt politicians out of office. We need to turn them over. They get 1 or 2 terms and goodbye. No more 20, 30-year corrupted in place for life. And then we could take out those Supreme Court justices, regardless who we elect and select for representation. They just override us because their elite masters want abortion. And so they just override the population. I bet 80 to 70% of the population would stop state-funded abortion. I did not say make abortion illegal. I said stop paying for it. We have people using abortion services. Let's see, 40% are repeat users. That's a pretty high percentage. And so we have to start making some changes. We start with U.S.-born citizens in Congress and the Senate and the presidency. And then we have term limits. And then we stop funding abortion. We can fund it in a certain percent of the cases, low income, that type of thing. But we should not be the leader just about in abortions around the world, the United States. Now, it doesn't surprised me because we had state mandatory sterilization, I believe, in the 50s. So this is a country that's built on killing young babies, and it's been that way far too long. We do everything for the cats and the dogs and the chipmunks and the monkeys and the whales and the fish. It's time that we do something for human babies, reasonable abortion policy. But we're not done yet. Besides being born in the United States, besides being a U.S. citizen, besides term limits, guess what we also need to do? We need to get rid of this dual citizenship. So we have elected officials holding dual citizenship. We have appointed officials like Michael Chertoff, who brought us the TSA and the TSA body scanners, holding dual citizenship. That has to end. And that is complete BS that we have people running the government doing the jobs that the Americans evidently won't do for $300,000 or $400,000 a year salaries, holding dual citizenship. Now, what and where do their real alliances lay? And this gets us not only into Israel, which has dual citizenship politicians and appointees in our government. This starts to get us into SMOB, Sovereign Military Order of Malta. There you go. You start getting into the Knights Templars, the Masonic Lodges, and SMOM. You got to be pretty high to be an SMOM member, Sovereign Military Order of Malta. And guess what? They have their own citizenship. They have their own diplomatic immunity. That means they can kill or have child sacrifices or whatever with diplomatic immunity. Isn't that convenient? Now, we're going right into the Vatican. They have diplomatic immunity. The Vatican of Rome is its own country. Isn't that convenient as these pedophiles travel around on your dime, the good practicing Catholics that donate their hard-earned dollars to the church, they're supporting these guys partying, doing their pedophile stuff, and enjoying diplomatic immunity should they end the life of a child or another victim. This all has to stop. And it is kind of nice to see Donald Trump, like him or hate him, and I'm more on the hate side, but which might surprise you. I don't support many politicians, but I do like Donald Trump's dislike for human trafficking. And that in itself is starting to clean out a lot of corruption around the world. And so, you see, there's a lot of issues we have, and these are not very complex. These are simple. And as an American, you have to start to take action, do what you can do. And you're saying, we'll never change the system. Yes, we will. Working together, we outnumber these elitists, maybe 10,000 or 100,000 to 1. And they are getting very nervous. They'll probably strike out and do something to distract this growing movement against the establishment. They might pull the plug on my show, but don't worry. Again, in a very short time, we'll be broadcasting on 4 or 5 different platforms, as well as uploading recorded shows, so you'll be certain to find us. And the easiest way to locate our show is simply go to thelatenighthour.com. You'll find a link to our chat room. If you're too scared to call in and talk to me at 515-602-9663. I would love to hear from you. I'm just kicking it, sitting around talking politics, talking corruption. We talked about McCain, the Catholic Church, and all the other non-citizens that are running our government right before our eyes. And I think most Americans are well-intent and honest people, and we can't believe the level of corruption and disgust that has been going on for some time. And so if you think you live in Alice in Wonderland or the Wizard of Oz or one of these fantasy lands, what's that show that we liked? Oh, yes, Fantasy Island. If you think you live on Fantasy Island and everything is beautiful, then I would suggest you don't listen to this show because I don't want to disturb your tranquility and calmness. I don't want to burst your bubble. And so here I am. I'm even going to beg you to turn our show off and go listen to some other mindless show, entertainment, they call it. Here, I tend to talk about real issues. You may not agree with my opinion. I don't care. That's what America's about. We're all entitled to our opinion. And I would love to hear your opinion, no matter how dumb it may be. But you can give me a call at 515-602-9663. Most of our callers are very nice and have great points and ideas and are very respectful. And that's the kind of show we want to have here. We want to have open dialogue and discussion. And I'm here to learn just like you are. So take advantage of our interactive show. If you're scared, then you can go into our chat room and you can post your questions. And I would love to hear from you. And so I've got to mellow out. We have to get back on topic. Well, let's see. The Loch Ness Monster was spotted in England. That's kind of cool. There is some new photos. It looks like a sea otter's head to me, but I don't know. I'm skeptical. And no, I don't believe in UFOs or aliens. I believe this is often used to discredit the patriotic, Constitution-loving Americans, and they try to take you to an extreme, take you to aliens and Bigfoot. And that's one of the tactics, so don't fall for it. Somebody brings up aliens on their radio show, next. Now, there's a few interesting photographs people take of these flying objects around the world, unidentified objects, but I believe the majority of them are probably our own experimental aircraft or other abnormalities. I'm having tough time with that word. I think I'm going to need more of my favorite beverage tonight. But I did want to make a point that the Loch Ness Monster is back. But there's a lot of wild stuff that goes on in England, so the Loch Ness doesn't surprise me too much. I'm going to get a refill, and I'll be back in 1 minute. We'll touch on some of those subjects we did last night when they pulled our plug. But don't worry, because tonight we are taking extra precautions. Be right back in about a minute.
She says hello. In the sky, a graceful show. Many fall onto their knees. Blue light dancing to be seen.
You're listening to The Late Night Hour, Alex Abrams.
There's been many attempts to take over the world, to bring all nations under the control of a central government. Hitler talked about the New World Order. Mao did also, and so did Stalin. There's been many attempts to create the New World Order. It's nothing new and nothing for you to be scared about, but you need to understand their latest cycle of this attempt. It basically starts with the Bilderbergs, who have the billions of dollars, and the Bilderberg Hotel. So you'll hear the word Bilderberg out there, and you can look that up. But there's a bunch of rich billionaires, and they get together once a year, and they call them the Bilderbergs. And you can look at their list of attendees, and you'll find many of the CEOs and the multinational corporations are there having a party. And colluding. I guess you'd call it corruption and colluding, because they're really not supposed to meet with other diplomats of other nations. That's typically a job for the government. So there's a law that they're not supposed to meet and discuss policy, but that doesn't stop them. They're colluding. They're a cabal. So you've got to understand the Bilderbergs. Bilderbergs created an action committee that is called the Trilateral Commission. You look at most of the corporations that we're having difficulties with right now, Facebook, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, all of them have connections or outright members on the Trilateral Commission and the Bilderbergs. This is not conspiracy theory. You can find the Bilderberg membership and the Trilateral Commission membership. So you can look right on there. So you had the Bilderbergs, and they appointed the action committee called the Trilateral Commission in about 1974. And then 3 or 4 years later, there comes their first stooge president, Jimmy Carter. No doubt the worst American traitor of all the presidents. And you can quote me on that. Let's just let history show that. But anyway, this is their latest version. Jimmy Carter gets into power, appoints 200 plus Trilateral Commission members into government. So that's where they infiltrated our government in the 1970s. This is pretty much well documented. And don't worry, I'm getting to the point. So I'm just warming up to give you a brief overview first. So here we go again. The Bilderbergs create the Trilateral Commission. They fund and run Jimmy Carter. 1970s. Carter pays them back by appointing 200 plus members. Well, Carter also did another traitorous act. He established the SES, which has been buzzing around the internet these days. The SES, Senior Executive Service. These basically are $200,000 to $400,000 a year corrupted officials who were placed at the head of all the agencies. It's very difficult to find out who these thousands of agents are that are SES members. You can do some digging, and I have, and you can find some documents and then search. So let me give you a few examples. What about Sessions? Jeff Sessions. Is he an SES member? Many people believe he is. And what about Comey? What about Mueller? Are all these guys SES? I think the jury's out there. Is that why Trump can't fire Mueller, can't fire Sessions? They're SES. You see, this was all part of Jimmy Carter's treasonous action. Create this SES and make them immune to being fired, even by the president. It takes like maybe a majority vote of Congress to fire them. This is a complete BS that Carter did to the American people. Now, what this means with the SES is regardless which president is in power, the SES is running our government. And this is where you can see the shadow government. Again, this is not conspiracy theory. There are real documents that talk about the Senior Executive Service, SES. And in fact, Early on, they were only paid $50,000 a year on the average. Now they're probably up around $400,000 a year, way more than the president earns. These SES members created their own union, and that's called the Senior Executive Association. And their board of directors includes representatives from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the Army, the Department of the Interior, the Government Accountability Office, Horowitz, who was auditing Comey and the FBI. Isn't that convenient? And he was SES most likely. Health and Human Services, Veterans Affairs, Department of Labor, Department of Energy, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, Air Force, Department of Commerce, NASA, and PCI, which I haven't figured out yet. So all of these agencies have top SES officials that can't be fired by the president, and they are probably sitting at the top of these agencies. This is not a conspiracy theory. You can go right now to seniorexecs.org. That is senior and then EXECS.org. And there it is. Go to their board of directors, senior executives, and they have this mysterious like stone emblem that kind of sits at the top of the royal arch, getting into the Masonic structure. And you can see their logo there. And it's kind of a triangular looking thing with some lines in it. It probably has the number 7 lines, I'm guessing. One of my earlier shows, we got into numerology and esoteric knowledge, and I talk about the power of 6, 7, 13, 11, and probably the number 3 also. But anyway, that's a topic for another late night hour. We'll have to spend a whole hour on numerology. But anyway, understand that our politicians are running this government. It's being run by SES. And as a loyal American, you need to start asking questions of your elected officials. What is this SES about? Where is the transparency? Where is a list of the members, a list of their salaries, the rules and regulations that show that an SES person can be fired by the president? If this is all theory, let's get to the bottom of it. Now, I did not start this. What I do here is I search the corners of the internet, and I bring to you subjects I think are of importance for you to know, for you to take action on. Don't sit back and watch TV. You're going to have to get out there and get your hands dirty. Fire off an email or a letter to your elected officials. Don't fall for their scam that we're all powerless and they're all powerful and there's no hope and the world is in their full control. Don't buy it. Don't listen to it. Get active. Get activated. Enjoy your favorite beverage. Fire off a letter or email and watch them squirm. Now, they're not going to do anything. They're probably going to throw your letter in the trash can. That's not the point. The point is we keep hitting them, letting them know we know. We're on to the scam of the Bilderbergs, the Trilateral Commission, Jimmy Carter's, his appointment of 200-plus trilateral members, and, of course, the SES that Carter established. The American public all around the internet are on to the story now. The toothpaste is out of the tube and they're not going to be able to put it back. So I do what I can do by just spreading the information. It's up to you to go and check and research it and start to understanding. The way we change the system is by first understanding what they're doing. What are they doing to us? You know, this whole New World Order system, goes back to like William Taft, and he established the Skull and Bones in the 1930s. And then later, as Madame Blavatsky comes around with the theory of theosophy and the Thule Society, which Adolf Hitler subscribed to, you get into theosophy, which really takes you into a melding of all the world's religion. That's basically what Theosophy and the Thule Society is all about. In fact, when you go and look up, which I highly suggest, the Theosophy or the Thule Society, you find their logos. And wouldn't you know it, they have the Star of David. They have Hindu They have the, Star of David, Hindu, trying to think of the others. They have others that they're melding together. This is the mystery religion, Theosophy, which basically says there are 7 energies of life, 7 levels. And they form the rainbow, which you think is the rainbow used by some of the communist groups or by NBC and the peacock. No. That's not the peacock, and that's not the rainbow. That's the 7 rays, the same 7 rays that sit on the Statue of Liberty, 7 points. The 7 rays, the goddess Columbia. All of this you're not going to understand. But if you keep listening to our show, you're going to start to understand things. And so William Taft, the 1930s, and Skull and Bones and Theosophy, but they can't use the word Theosophy. They don't use it on television. They don't use it anywhere, and they rarely talk about the 7 rays because it's too obvious, because Hitler was using the same religion. His idea was to wipe out all religions and replace it with the state religion of Theosophy. And you see, that's really what the Hidden War is all about. Theosophy, if you look at their 7 rays, a couple of those rays are basically ceremonial magic. Satanism, Luciferianism, whatever you want to call it. And so the 7 rays is really just Luciferianism in disguise, the 7 rays. And guess what? The United Nations has fully adopted the 7 rays. That's called Lucas Trust, one of the NGOs. Of course, Lucas Trust used to be called Lucifer Trust. They had to change the name because people might pick up on that. But just go to the United Nations and look at their NGOs and find Lucas Trust. And that is built on the Alice Bailey version of Theosophy. She modified the 7-ray theory from Blavatsky, but it's the same theory. So here we are, this day and age, kumbaya. Everybody loves the United Nations and world peace, and they don't even know that they're prepping the world religion of the 7 rays. The 7 rays is the end religion that will make all other religions illegal. That will include Islam, Christianity, and every other religion out there. All of them will be illegal, replaced by the 7 rays. Theosophy in disguise. Why am I telling you this? I'll be back in 1 minute, and we'll continue where we left off from last night. And we'll build on the 7 rays of the United Nations, who, by the way, has a religious altar inside the United Nations. And so they're prepping their final religion. I'll be back in just 1 minute.
She walks into a winter day. She walks into a midnight haze.
You're listening to The Late Night Hour with Alex Abrams.
Line 1, we have a brave caller. Can you hear us?
Yes, of course, my friend Alex. How you doing? This is Mike from Singapore. How you doing tonight?
How are you doing tonight? You're back. Back for another late
for
night.
us.
Morning
Yes,
for
I
you.
know.
Where are
Late
you
night for
located?
you.
Where are you
We are
located,
morning.
roughly?
Yeah, we are in Singapore. It's
Singapore.
142.
Awesome.
142 right now. Is
oh, wow.
August 30th. Yeah. We are
You're up,
15
you're
hours
up
ahead
early.
of you.
You're up early. You're a late night
I
person or morning person.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
How can we help you tonight? It's good to hear from you.
Thank you very much. You talk about the religions. There are two major religions. That one is Matria, that they have an office in NGO as well, and this guy Matria is supposed to suddenly appears into South Africa nations of Mozambique or Zambia, and he blessed the people over there in the stadiums, and then he disappears, and then he come back. They say, according to Benjamin, the spokesperson for Matria, he has been over 2,000 years in living in the cave as super.
Well, this is like an
natural.
ascended master, right? The ascended master, right? And they live forever. And this is all part of that same. It's still coming from theosophy, I believe. But did you know there's photographs of Obama in Africa that they said he was Matria? So you might want to look that up.
Sure. I haven't looked at them. Yeah, because as you know, lots of news, lots of information. Something you know, something I know, but not everybody knows everything.
Well, I mean, this is just one of the signs that this Matria character appears on the scene, right? Does that happen before, like, the World War III? What does that kick off once Matria appears? Do you remember? I know I've read it in the past, but I forget.
Actually, they say that he's going to talk to everybody. Actually, George Noory, Coast to Coast AM. If you Google it, you should be able to find it because it is in the YouTube. We saw it. I mean, he was talking to Benjamin. Suddenly, he got super duper bad headache. He had to abandon the conversation with Benjamin, frankly, because he couldn't take it anymore. I mean, he never been like that before. So we can see that.
Is part of the end time, predictions. There's a lot of different prophecies. I mean, what was the other one about, like, the blood moons, and then there's the Antichrist? I mean, so there's all these different theories about the end times, right? That was one of them, I believe, is the Matria character appearing. Hey, I'll dig into that. I know I had some research on that in the past, and then, I got interested in the Obama photographs of him in Africa. So, I mean, they even had a theory that Obama had a head wound, so that's a whole other theory. Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then there's another one, is the Baha'i New World Order, towards the New World Order. And Baha'is understand the dramatic change of transforming we have witnessed over last century, and which we are continuing to see, have been initiated by coming of the new, they call it the new messenger of God, influence, breaking light of new revelation. A few years ago, the phrase New World Order suddenly and dramatically re-entered the world's popular vocabulary, from the Russia president, ex-Russia president, and to George Bush and many other people around the globe. And so, you need to look for the Baha'i New World Order, Baha'i, and they're also in United Nations too.
Oh, sure.
And then,
Yeah.
they're in United Nations. They have all over the world, and then
Right.
that's another new world order religion that is going to replace all the religion with they call it Baha'ism, again ISM at the end. So
Sure.
that's another one to watch for, and it's just we have a lot of as you said, also this is another one. Matria is another one, Baha'i New World Order, and also Islamic New World Order. That's everybody's New World, Christian New World Order, Buddhist New World Order. Anybody.
What I would say is, I think I would say that they'll all relate back to the 7-ray theory. So you're going to want to look at those, and I will spend some time looking at them in a little more detail. But I believe they all go back to theosophy. So, and then, there's the whole theory that all the religions are based off of basically the same astrology, right? So that's a whole nother theory that, all the religions are really just different versions of astrology. So that's been floated out there also. Mm-hmm.
They call them God, or those, the same thing as you said. Say come from the same God. So it's a different times, different teacher comes. So today teacher is Baha'i New World Order, or Matria, or as you said, Theosophists and etc. So all they're trying to kind of win the situation, and then to and
they don't have
enough
followers. They don't have enough armies to control everybody, so they need a religion, right? That's the bottom line. They need something that everybody will fall in line with. So that's why religion comes in. They got to have it as part of this final state system. So you're right, and they're spending a lot of money trying to develop one of these.
You have to have ICOD. Yes, you have to have ICOD, my friend, in order to feel good. Religion is opium of the masses. That's what I believe.
Exactly. So they need that, but they have to find the one that's going to catch on, and they haven't been successful finding one yet, right? So they're experimenting a bit. Hey, we'll look at those other ones and join back with us in a day or two, and I'll circle around.
Okay.
I'll pull out all my old notes on the Matria appearance. It was Benjamin Cream.
And the Baha'i New World Order, too. Look at the Baha'i New World Order.
Yeah.
Baha'i, B-A-H-A.
Yes. Is that connected to Judaism?
No. It's just totally is a new religion formed in Middle East.
Okay.
And they have followers around the globe. They claim 10 million. But, they show every kind of race, as you mentioned, every kind of race, background. They are in it, yes. And then on top of you haven't, because of your show, you might need to investigate journalists since you need to that. But Matra, I'm not sure. I mean, Matra, forget it. I'm telling you right now, Matra is just, and then they say that he lives in UK, in the Asian community. I mean, and then once you look at his picture, he looks like a Muhammad to me.
Well, again, there's a lot of theories. Fortunately, a lot of them don't come true, and then we say that one's no good. But I'll definitely look into it. I know I had in the past, and I appreciate you sharing with our audience, because that's what this show's about, is bringing your theories. So I like to keep track of all of them. I'm a collector of theories. So one big cigar box. It's filled with theories.
Hey.
So thanks again.
Thank you very much for taking. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for taking my call, my friend.
I'll talk to you. Maybe talk to you in a few days. Let me look into that a little more.
Okay.
All right.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night. All right. Thanks for joining us. There was some great ideas on Matria and Benai. I know I've looked at these in the past, but it has been a while. And I wasn't aware Benai was connected to the UN. I do know Lucas Trust and the Seven Rays are highly connected to the United Nations and to Amazon and Google and all these Silicon Valleys. When we return, I'm going to talk about what I did last night, which may have tossed me off the air, but we're going to talk about it in 1 minute on the Late Night Hour, and I'll connect this all up with the Silicon Valley tech gurus and CEOs.
She says hello. In the sky, a graceful show. Many fall onto their knees. Blue light dancing to be seen.
You're listening to The Late Night Hour with Alex Abrams.
And so, we talked about the Bilderbergs, and we talk about the Trilateral Commission. We talk about Theosophy, the United Nations, Lucas Trust. There's another organization out there that you need to be aware of, and that is the Aspen Institute, Colorado. Aspen, Colorado. Now, many say the Aspen Institute is connected to the Tavistock Institute, which was kind of the brainwashing center of the world that was going to brainwash everybody. And they brought us like the Beatles and MK Ultra and many other things, dubious activities, because they were based on Sigmund Freud and all his psychotic experiments and mind control and all this great stuff. So we hear that the Aspen Institute, a institute of shrinks, basically, they're, connected up with Tavistock, perhaps. But what I'm telling you today is they're definitely in bed with Amazon, Google. I didn't check all the others, but Bezos from Amazon, he's always out speaking at the Aspen Institute. And the Bezos, they're going to give all their money away too, just like Bill Gates. So they have the Bezos Family Foundation. And in that foundation, when you go to the Bezos Family Foundation, you're going to see that he has some activities there. And we're not going to really have the time tonight to delve into it, but let me just get to the point. Bezos is funding these different activities that are predominantly focused. There's 3 areas of scholarships, new leaders, and phone apps for children. It's all directed at indoctrination of the children. And there's a lot of free things you can get. You can get these phone apps to replace the parents. The phone app can raise your child. Okay, this is some pretty creepy stuff. But when you go and you look at these, you will find, especially within the phone app investment area, which, let's see if we have that, what it's called. They have For example, there's 3 areas that the Bezos family is working on. Mind in the making. Now, does that sound like a MK Ultra psychological re-engineering of your child? Mind in the making. That's the name of one of the programs that Bezos and Amazon are funding. Another one's called Students Rebuild. I guess the students are like, they're no good because they're too American, they're too Constitution, so they got to be rebuilt. Get it? Reprogram. But the weird one is Vroom, this Vroom app, VROOM. Vroom app, replaces the parents, and your child can use this phone app and be raised and taught, I'm sure, all the environmental lessons and tolerance and diversity and all that good stuff. But here's where I kind of tie this together is I believe it's the Students Rebuild. So there's 3 websites that the Bezos Family Foundation is involved in. Mind in the Making, Students Rebuild, and Vroom. But anyway, Students Rebuild, if you look at their logo, it has 7 books, I believe. 7 rays. 7 rays of theosophy. And when you dig further, it talks about the 7 principles. So you see, what they're doing is they're taking the same old theosophy used by Hitler, used in the past. They're just relabeling it, rebranding it, making it more suitable for the children. So this is all very creepy. And this is well funded. And it's not just Amazon doing this. You'll find the Aspen Institute connected to Google and many of their executives. And there is one of their board members, Doer. You can look him up. And he's got the Doer Institute. All this connects up. And what I'm telling you is all this funding being used to get all of the young children indoctrinated into the theosophy and 7 rays of the United Nations. And so this is it looks experimental, but I don't think Bezos is a very nice guy. I mean, he's basically conducting experiments on children, if you look at this in any depth and sensibility. And, what's interesting is all these foundations, they're always controlled by their family members. It keeps the money in the family. This idea that the billionaires are going to give their money away with the giving pledge. And they never give their money away. They just use it through a foundation to, launder it, keep their family in charge of the money. It's all about the money, and it's all about control. And on another late night hour, we'll get into the Gates' new venture to video everybody, every square inch of the planet covered with satellites. We've got Bezos experimenting with robots in space. So Google doing their own thing. We'll get into all that on one of our late night hours, but I'm too disgusted to do it tonight. And so we'll leave that for another evening on the late night hour. And so what we do here again is I search the internet and bring to you any topics and theories that I think would be of interest to you, things that you should follow. And as Americans and also citizens from other countries, our friend there in Singapore and other places, the Canadians, the people in the UK, there's action going on all over the world because really there are no political parties, there are no religions, there's simply freedom or non-freedom. Freedom or no freedom. It's that simple. And that's how you have to look at things. We don't want to be controlled. We don't want laws that control and micromanage us. And so it is all up to us that we have to be in control of our future. And so I want to thank you for joining us here on the late night hour. It's been a pleasure to talk with you, and we will see you tomorrow night on another edition.
You're listening to the Late Night Hour